My name is Leo, and for as long as I can remember, my family has always had a unique way of showing affection. Teasing was their love language, and when I mentioned I was a little strapped for cash recently, well, let's just say they didn't exactly offer to help. They laughed heartily. What they didn't know was that behind my seemingly poor facade, a plan was brewing. And it was about to be served with a side of legal documents. If you're watching this, drop a comment below and tell me about a time your family misunderstood you. And if you enjoy stories with a satisfying twist, make sure to like and subscribe. Our family get-togethers in Denver were always a lively affair. Lots of food, loud conversations, and the inevitable gentle ribbing. I'm a software developer, and while I'm doing well, I've been focused on reinvesting in a new project. This meant tightening my belt a bit lately. When the topic of finances came up at our last family lunch, initiated, of course, by my ever-so-subtle Aunt Brenda, I mentioned I was being a bit careful with my spending. That's when the laughter started. My older brother Mark, always the first to jump in, clapped me on the back with a booming laugh. "Leo, broke? You? What happened to all those genius app ideas?" My younger sister, Sarah, chimed in, giggling. Maybe he finally spent it all on those fancy gadgets he loves. Even my parents, though they tried to appear a little more sympathetic, couldn't hide their amusement. "Son," my father said, a slight smile playing on his lips, "you always were a bit enthusiastic with your spending." It stung, not because I was genuinely destitute, but because they never seemed to take my ambitions seriously. They saw my careful budgeting as a sign of failure, not as a strategic move for something bigger. They saw me as the slightly irresponsible younger sibling, and nothing I said could seem to change that perception. The truth was, my new project was far more advanced than they could have imagined. For months, I had been working tirelessly on a revolutionary e-commerce platform that had already garnered serious interest from international investors. I had even secretly finalized a major funding deal just days before that family lunch. The money hadn't officially landed in my account yet, hence my poor status in their eyes. Their laughter, though meant in jest, had actually solidified my resolve. I wasn't just going to quietly become successful. I was going to let them witness it in a way they couldn't ignore. And that's where my longtime family lawyer, Mr. Harrison, came into the picture. They thought I was just a bit down on my luck. They had no idea that luck had already found me, and it was about to walk through the door in a very official capacity. What exactly were the papers Mr. Harrison carrying? The laughter in the room felt like a physical weight. My brother, Mark, was still patting me on the back, and my father was just shaking his head with a small, sad smile. They thought they had me. They thought they had caught me in a moment of weakness. But they had no idea that their laughter was about to turn into a stunned, horrified silence. Just as my father started to talk about my spending habits, the waiter walked in. He wasn't a waiter anymore. He was a serious man in a clean suit. He walked straight to our table, holding a leather briefcase. He wasn't a man who wasted time. The entire room fell silent. Everyone looked at him, confused. "Alex," he said, his voice cutting through the silence. "I apologize for the interruption, but we have some papers to sign. It's urgent." My family was in complete shock. They looked at me, then at the waiter. "Papers?" my father asked, his voice filled with confusion. "What papers?" The waiter didn't look at my father. He just looked at me. "Alex, we just received confirmation. The deal is finalized. They've wired the money." My family's faces went pale. "What deal?" my sister Sarah asked. I smiled. "The deal for my new project," I said. "The one you all thought was a waste of time." I looked at the waiter. "Is everything ready?" Yes, he said. The final contract is ready to be signed. And congratulations, Alex. You're now a multi-millionaire. The entire room went silent. You could hear a pin drop. My father's mouth was open, and my brother, Mark, looked as if he was about to faint. My family, who had just been laughing at my poor status, was now looking at me with a mix of shock and complete disbelief. I signed the papers, and I looked at my family. The silence was deafening. I was no longer the broke, irresponsible younger brother. I was a successful, respected businessman. My father was the first to speak. His voice was shaking. Alex, he said, I don't know what to say. We're so proud of you. Why didn't you tell us? I looked at him, and I wasn't angry. I was just calm. You never asked, I said. You were too busy laughing at my choices. You were too busy telling me that I was a waste of time. I wanted you to see it with your own eyes. My family had always seen my ambition as a hobby, a phase. But in that moment, they had no choice but to see my success for what it was. Their laughter was a memory, a painful, humiliating memory that would now haunt them forever. My revenge wasn't loud or angry. It was silent, powerful, and served on a silver platter of legal documents. They thought they had me. They thought they had proven that I was nothing. But they had no idea that their laughter was about to be my motivation. And now, they would have to live with the knowledge that the person they had been mocking was the one who was about to change their lives forever. The room was in chaos. My family, who had been laughing at me just moments before, was now looking at me with a mixture of shock, awe, and shame. My brother, Mark, was pale. My father, the man who had told me I was poor, had no words. They had been so sure of themselves, so sure of their victory. But they had no idea that their laughter was about to cost them everything. My mother was the first to speak. Her voice, once full of mockery, was now full of false kindness. Alex, she said, her voice shaking, we're so proud of you. We always knew you had it in you. Why didn't you tell us? I smiled, a small, sad smile. I wanted to, I said. I wanted to tell you about my success. But every time I tried, you laughed. You told me my ideas were a waste of time. You told me I was poor. My father, who had been silent, finally spoke. His voice was a quiet whisper. Son, he said, we were just teasing. We were just joking with you. We didn't mean it. I looked at him, and I wasn't angry. I was just calm. You told me I was poor, I said. You told me to be more like Mark. You told me that my life was a joke. Your words, Dad, were never just a joke to me. My brother, Mark, who had been silent, finally spoke. Alex, he said, I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry. I shook my head. It's not about an apology, I said. It's about a lesson. You all laughed at me, and you made me feel like I was a failure. And in doing so, you lost. You lost the chance to be a part of my success. My revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was a quiet, powerful act of vindication. I had proven them wrong, not just with my success, but with my integrity. I had shown them that my worth wasn't in their approval, it was in my own self-respect. I had found my vindication, not just in my business, but in my life. I had learned that my family wasn't about blood, it was about who was there for me when I needed them the most. And in the end, that was me. I walked out of the room, leaving them to their stunned silence. They had won their little battle of wits, but they had lost the war. They had lost the chance to be a part of my success. So, That's my story. It's a reminder that true wealth is not in your bank account, it's in your character. And sometimes, the best revenge is to walk away from the people who failed to see your true worth. Have you ever had to choose between your blood family and your chosen family? What did you learn? Share your stories in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to hear more real-life lessons. Thank you for listening.